I'd like to call the meeting to order of the Board of Leavenworth County Commission. I'd like to invite everyone to stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For the record, all three commissioners are present today. I'd like to start with a moment of silence. Did we want to start with our consent agenda today, or do we want the public to get this distributed to the public?
I'd rather have the public look at it.
Okay, we'll just stick with our old one. We'll get this, anybody that would like a copy of what our new consent agendas are going to look like, we can get that, and we'll start it Thursday.
Okay, my question is, roll call.
That's announcing that all three commissioners
Oh, okay.
are present. Unless you want to go Commissioner Clamp, and you can say present, or
Here, sir.
yes, sir.
I was thinking,
No, we don't want to do that.
Okay.
As long as, and then if one of us is not present, we'll acknowledge that and announce the two that are here.
Okay, very good.
Is that okay?
That's good. I got hit with a military term. I thought that was great.
We'll get there.
Very good.
Then I guess we'll start with public comment. Anyone wishing to speak from the public, please come forward, state your name and address. And if you don't feel comfortable stating your address, at least the town that your mailing address is from.
Linda Sturgeon, 16950 206th Street, Tonganoxie. I have two fairly quick things, and then I'll get to what I really wanted to talk about today. The first is, more than a month ago, we were promised an additional recycle bin in Tonganoxie. I didn't go by there this morning, but as of Friday, we still only had two, so
Okay.
just FYI. Secondly, when I pulled the agenda for today, I noticed the employment contract for Mr. Lowry. I spent 30 years in HR, and that is the most generous contract, bar from some others that have been written by this commission, that I've ever seen. So I just throw that out there. What I really wanted to talk about today was, the Tyson deal got a lot of us more interested in local government, which may or may not be a
That's a
good
good
thing
thing. No,
from
that's
your
a good
perspective. And you've seen, I think there are more people here than have been other times. And when I started digging into what happened to the Tyson thing, not so much what are we going to do about Tyson, and I know some people think it's dead. I'm not sure it is, but at any rate, I was trying to figure out how did we get to the point that we did with Tyson, and what do we need to do so that we don't get there again. So I started looking at different things. I've attended, other people too have attended commission meetings and city council, but it appeared that the Tyson thing came into the county through the LCDC. So I decided maybe I better find out more about what the LCDC does for the county. And I've been real frustrated in that. The first thing that happened was I tried to get the minutes. It took me several requests to get all the minutes. Even before the September meeting, I was not allowed to get the September minutes because they hadn't been approved till the October meeting. You guys put out your draft minutes. I don't understand why you can't get draft minutes even if they're not finalized. I went to the meeting in Baser a couple weeks ago, and I asked to get on the agenda to speak. At first I was told that I could not speak because I hadn't gotten on the agenda ahead of time. I talked my way onto the agenda, said I was here, didn't know that was the rule, I really wanted to make some comments, and they allowed me to do that. Steve Jack told me that he was very leery of letting me speak because of you people. And I said, what do you mean, you people? And he said, well, you anti-Tyson people in Tonganoxie. He said, you've been mailing things to my home. I personally haven't mailed anything to his home. And I guess I understand being concerned about not feeling safe in your home. And frankly, I've been concerned about my home for the last 6 weeks. So I do understand when you feel like your home's being threatened that you are concerned about that. And I think a lot of people in Tonganoxie are concerned about that. So anyway, I was allowed to speak. I think, Mr. Klemp, you were there. I think I was respectful. I didn't take a lot of time. I talked about quality of life. And other people at that meeting later continued to talk about quality of life. So I do think it was a topic that was of interest to the group that was assembled there. So I went home. Some things came up at the meeting that I had more questions about. So I went home and asked to get on the agenda for November. And I asked to get on the Port Authority meeting, which is this coming Wednesday. I got an email back that said, are you going to talk about Tyson? And I said, no, I'm really not going to talk about Tyson per se, but I would like to understand the process, and I would like to understand what the procedures are for approving projects. Then Steve and the president of the LCDC offered for me to come up last Friday and have a private meeting with them so that I could get my questions answered. While I appreciated that offer, I said no, that my questions I thought had a broader interest than just me, and I thought that they should be addressed at an open meeting. Then they said, well, I really needed to come up to the private meeting with them before the public meeting because they wanted to understand my questions. I said, well, I declined because I don't think my questions are that complicated. I don't think they require additional pre-meeting information. And so I would like to just be put on the public meeting. And at that point, they told me that I could not be on either of the agendas to speak publicly at either the LCDC or the Port Authority. That just seems crazy to me. Both of those, I believe, are at least partially, maybe mostly funded by the county. It seems like that they would welcome input from members of the community instead of making it so difficult to address either one of those groups. So given that I can't seem to get on the agenda for either one of those groups, and since you guys fund them, I'm going to ask you the questions that I was going to ask them. At the end of the meeting, the LCDC meeting a week and a half ago, Mr. Jack said that the Tonganoxie people had chased off Project Green with all of their anti-industry information. I would like to know what this Project Green was. If you can't tell me the name, I get that, but I think we ought to know what it is that we chased off. I think it's curious that this Project Green came on the LCDC agenda at exactly the same time that Project Sunset came on the agenda. And also, both Project Green and Project Sunset looked at land in southern Leavenworth County on exactly the same day, which makes me think that maybe it was tied directly to Tyson, and that's why I went away rather than directly related to the Tonganoxie group. My second question is I'd like to know what the LCDC does to vet these projects before they're passed along. Is anybody looking at anything other than dollars and cents? I'm all about dollars and cents. I get that, and I think we should look at the dollars and cents. But I think Leavenworth County is so much more than that. Again, the Department of Ag said that the LCDC was the initial contact in Leavenworth County. And I think lastly, my question is, why is it so hard to get information from them? And why would they not welcome information from the community? Why are they so secretive about the information that they have? And, you know, who do they report to? Do they report to you guys? And are you giving them information? Or, you know, you're funding them in good measure. So I would ask that you all would answer either my questions or get them to answer my questions. And I don't think it should be a one-on-one. I think it needs to be in a public meeting. So.
Yes, sir.
Mark, did you get all of the requests down?
Well, I think I can ask those questions.
No, did you get them all written down?
I did not get all of them.
Okay.
I'll get them from
They'll be in
the
minutes.
video. That's
Okay.
right.
So we can get an answer back to her.
Sure, certainly. I can get an answer to her on what I can get.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, well, and I think it needs to be a public answer so that other people, because I suspect there are other people here that have similar questions.
All right, and my comment on your statements would be LCDC, Port Authority is basically, I look at it as Leavenworth County's Economic Development Department. We don't have our own economic development department or economic development person. That
Should we?
Yes.
That's our economic development department. And Mr. Lawfrey will get you them answers by next meeting.
I'll follow up with Mr. Jack.
Okay.
Obviously, he does not report to me,
That's,
so therefore I can only give what he will give me.
Okay.
He does not report to this board.
no.
He-
They have a board member, they have a board. They have their own board.
Yeah, they have their own board of directors. The Port Authority is a partner with the LCDC, but again, the LCDC is a standalone entity that has their own board of directors and sets their own guidelines and rules.
And I understand that, but given the fact that the county funds most of their activities, I would say that there's some leverage there. Whether they report directly to you or not, if you're funding them, then you've got some leverage on what they're doing.
And that's how you would control anything that you think is wrong through funding. We fund a lot of agencies, like the Northeast Mental Health, stuff like that. We fund a lot of different agencies, but Mr. Lawfrey will try to get you your answers, and we will give you your answers in a public meeting.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else?
Lindsay Blaine-Carty, 22800 Wood End Road in Tonganoxie. I have two questions. How was it determined that McIntyre Road needed to be redone?
The people voted on it. The taxpayers voted the 3 projects.
There were 3 projects up
Yeah.
for vote, and
Yes.
that one was the one that
Yes.
won the vote?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the goal for that road?
We're going to award the bid today.
Can I have it?
You may, it's your district, Commissioner.
You can ask questions, please.
Excuse me?
Questions?
Yes? Yep.
That's our administrator.
Yes, sir.
You need to be answering those questions.
What is the goal when the project is done? What is the goal for it?
I don't
Don't quite understand
what
what
you
you're.
mean the goal.
Well, it's a road that people
Yeah.
drive on now.
Mm-hmm.
So if it was voted on to be redone, was it in total disarray? Is it supposed to connect one end to another? What is the goal?
It connects 2 state highways together, K5 and 7 highway.
Right.
K5 and 7?
Yeah.
Is that the goal for it then?
We can only guess because I think Lansing would be this is a Lansing road. And I
Right.
think Lansing would be better answering that question that you have than us. It was voted on, and that's what the 3 road projects, and that's what we have to do. As far as what the procedure is and why we're doing this is because it was voted on by the taxpayers.
Okay.
And so we're doing it. And as they said, we're letting the bid today. I would think that, just guessing, as a personal citizen, I would say they're trying to connect 7 Highway to 5. Why? I don't think 5 Highway will ever be more than what it is today. But that's just my opinion. That's not the commissioner's opinion, that's just my
Sure.
opinion.
Well, that's what I'm asking is, understand that it's on Lansing's side, but it is Leavenworth County.
Right.
And it's several millions of dollars, and I just wondered what the purpose and goal is when the project is done.
Normally not a comment on your comments. That's what staff is for. But I'll reiterate what Bob said. They voted to improve. You won't get this from anything from Lansing. Improve could have meant grading.
Is your microphone on, Mr. Commissioner?
Can you hear me?
No.
No.
Is green
It
light
says
on?
green.
Did you hear me?
There we go. Can you hear me? There we
There
go.
you go.
It was green.
Yeah.
Wasn't red. Improvement.
Right.
If you can get anybody who's involved with this road to define improvement, grading, chip and seal, the county didn't make a decision. It was the county's money. So you go to Lansing and ask them
Okay.
why and the intent of why it was done to such a degree above improvement. It had to be the commission that made the decision of what improvement was. I know what improvement was because I went to the dictionary. Better than what it was. So it could have been grading, the ditches, chip and seal, could have been black asphalt, white asphalt, which is concrete, and you can go on what it could be. Curbed and guttered, all driveways cut, it could have went on and on. So you need to go to Lansing.
Okay, okay. And then my next question is, for the, Mr. Loeffler's position, how many candidates were there that applied for that position?
I don't know. That's for him to find out. I don't know.
I can't.
He interviewed.
We interviewed several, but I can't remember how many we
That was
interviewed.
back in December.
Right.
That's something I would like an answer to whenever y'all can gather it.
Are you referencing the wages that have been changed?
No, just simply the position that was open and how he came to that position from where he was.
He,
So I just wanted to know how many candidates applied
Okay.
in that process.
Okay.
Okay,
All
thank
right,
you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak at this time?
James Berry, District 1. Attended a meeting last week on Monday, and I was overhearing at that time that we had too many county vehicles. People seeing them sitting around, nobody using them. But I'm looking at a packet that was generated for your meeting today, and it says you want to give Mr. Lawfrey $5,400 for a vehicle allowance per year. And I'm thinking, why can't he use one of them vehicles that's sitting around? That's kind of common. The county commissioners, I understand, have a vehicle that you guys can use. But I know it's not convenient.
I
because-
do use it.
Okay. It's not real convenient because only one of you, if you got to go to a
Right,
meeting.
we can't ride
You
together.
can't ride
No.
together, I get that. My question about the annual salary, I'm looking at that and I'm thinking that's pretty generous. I'm not sure why we are going to give him a phone stipend. I think he probably has a phone, but $1,200 a year, I don't pay for my phone, for the whole thing. Whether I use part of it for my personal business or for work for the company or whatever, it's still my phone. And unless we're going to give him a different phone, I hope we're not planning on doing that because most people don't want to juggle 2 or 3 phones.
Right.
But I'm reading in here about his percentage of human resource functions, and that's at 10%. Budgeting functions at 30%, administrative functions at 50%. And I'm not really sure why I've been here long enough that I've seen county administrators and I've seen what they did and what they got let go for. They didn't get fired, they let them go. And I think your county administrator needs to stay out of human resources for that very first administrator we had, why they let her go. That's why a particular contract was written up, was so we didn't have that same kind of thing, because your county administrator more or less had authority over the whole county and all of its employees.
And that's what I think a county administrator should have.
Well, if you're going to do that, then you need to do a lot better background checks on who your county administrators are, because you're giving them a lot of leeway with authority in one person's pocket. Stroke of their pen does a lot of things. Not saying he has anything in his history. I don't know him that well. But I'm just saying, because of the history of what's happened in the past, you're giving this person a whole lot of power that one person's going to have. As a county taxpayer, you three are the people I give that power to by voting in. And for you guys to narrow that down to one person, I think you're taking what I have appointed to you guys and you're passing the buck to somebody else to make them the bad guy. But that's okay. My other question about his contract is, why are we even talking about a contract? A contract's the worst thing in the world, because who's that keep on the hook? Keeps you guys. Doesn't benefit it doesn't obligate the employee to nothing.
This is the only contract I support, the county administrator.
I don't think you ought to have them at all. The county taxpayer said we shouldn't have a county administrator. They said that 3 times in a row on a ballot. But we hired one anyway, because we went against what the county wanted. But now we got him. I support going back to the way we used to do things. I have nothing against him personally. I just think we're throwing a lot of money at him, and that's what I think county taxpayers thought they were paying county commissioners for. I get it, you guys aren't all finance with gurus and all that, but that's what we got, a county clerk, and we got other people that support you guys that are elected officials too. And with their knowledge, I think you guys can conduct your own business. That's just me.
All right, thank you. Anyone else from the public wish to speak? We'll move on to administrative business. Mr. Klemp, you said you had something?
Yes. I've had this letter prepared for a long time. No, I'm not resigning, so if anybody's thinking that, please don't get your hopes up. But I finally talked to 3 or 4 other individuals, and I came up with this. You know, the other night, I watched the movie Marshall. Maybe you don't know about the Marshall incident. It's where the team from Marshall University, or college, I guess it was, they had a plane crash and they lost some members of the football team. They lost some members of faculty, people that backed the system. It was a bad accident. But it was very knowledgeable to me to learn how this team recovered. Now that's what I'm trying to do here in Leavenworth County, and a lot of people don't know what we're recovering from. And that was 70, 71. And everybody here, I don't know about the young lady back here, if she was here in 70 and 71 and would have known about Marshall. Very critical. Most coaches say it's all about winning, and that's true. It doesn't matter what you're doing, you want to win. But you need to know, is it right or wrong, and can you afford to do it to win? You don't cheat in football. Some players do. You don't cheat in basketball. Shouldn't cheat in business. A lot of people do. Not all. So, that is what needs to happen in Leavenworth County. We need to get back to the basics of having good feelings and doing the proper thing. And we all need to be a part of it, part of a progressive move by the county. It's not going to be about one city or 2 cities. It is going to be about the right and wrong, and can we afford to do it? Can we afford to do it? That's up for your measurement. You throw any measurement you want in there, financial or whatever. I was a member of the Citizens for Progress. That was a committee that went out to sell this sales tax to the taxpayer. And that's what it's been done 3 times now. Each time, the sale has been getting a little bit cheaper, in my opinion. We raise the price of the product we're selling, and then we say we're giving you a deal. Way over 50% voted for roads and economical progress. And that is what I am hoping that as a board we can do. Within 60 days, I would like to see a county program or plan which would include a development plan for the whole county, including roads, water, sewer, and anything else we can think of. We pay our employees good salaries and benefits. Now, at times, maybe they disagree with that. But an awful lot of people come back to the county as family members, so they're able to have a nice life to raise their families. So we need to all be working for the next 60 days. We also need to talk to our financial planner or a financial planner to decide on how to bond 20 to 25 miles of roads in Eisenhower from an outside building operation. Go out for bids. We should not be in the road building business. We should be in the maintenance of roads in Leavenworth County. Never in the past has Leavenworth County used their county administrator. The first person was not used. The second person was not used. The position of county administrator was abused. He may be, and we're going to get to his contract, you may think he's paid too much or he's this or that, and that we need to go back to doing what we did in the past. But the pressure is on the county administrator. I don't care who's sitting in that position. We hire and we fire the county administrator. I'm hoping that this county administrator will be beneficial to the county. I would like to be prepared to finance a bond and go out for bids by the first of the year. It is time to get creative in Leavenworth County, and I know we can do it. So even though we will be meeting mainly on Tuesday morning and evening, I hope the rest of the time will be spent meeting for pure progress. I would like to see a consensus to accomplish the above. Thank you.
60 days is quite a bit to get a whole strategic plan done for the county, but 60 days is not for your 25 miles of road improvement. I mean,
That's true.
Mr. Lujan has traffic counts available, and I'm sure he could come up with 25 roads, and then probably before 10 o'clock.
Yeah, the critical thing is the bonding.
That's correct.
On the first year, we're going to have other money,
Yes,
not the
sir.
bond money, that we can
Right.
supplement and we
Right,
can
because
spend.
we are collecting the money.
That's right. But the thing is, the money won't be there for 20, 25 miles of road. And it won't be there for whatever we're going to do for economic development.
And 2014-41 deal that said the bond up to 40 million. You're a little
Right.
over half of that right now.
Mm-hmm.
So you have ways to leverage your money.
That's right.
So,
But I always hate to see, well, we're going to go 90 days. No, we're going to go for 8 years. In Washington, D.C., they've been working on programs. 8 years, and they can't get it done because nobody is there to force them and to ask them politely. First of all, we're asking staff to sit down and do so we can get a bond done and we can get it bonded and get the programs on their way.
I agree. But on your strategic plan for the whole county, there needs to be some city participation
with
in
that.
that, including financial.
Totally agree with it. You want to narrow it down to the 20, 25 miles of road, then let's do that. I don't care, but we need to be moving forward.
But trust me, I'm great. I'm glad they're doing the land use study or getting ready to start the land use study. But the whole county needs to be looked at. And I think it's something we would probably have to budget for. It's going to take some money. I mean, am I close on that, David, to look at sewers, water, drainage, stuff like that? It's going to take a little money. And it also is going to require some meetings with some cities to participate in it, I think.
Well, the cities want to be involved, they make that opening.
They
So
almost have to be involved.
So, but they make that opening.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't want to go, I only have 14 months. Now, I don't want to hear any clapping and yelling and celebration out here, okay? I have 14 months. And if we can't get it done in 14 months,
We'll get it
nobody
done.
should be rerunning again.
We'll get it
Bob
done.
should hang his head, I should hang my head. Everybody should be ashamed of themselves because they can't get these little bitty projects going. And that's what it is. We know affluent flows down to Stranger Creek from 2 directions. We know it flows down from 73 west. We know it flows from 73 east. Okay, community, let's get involved to see how we can run sewers rather than sewer district 1, sewer district 2, sewer district 3 that aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. It shouldn't have been established a long time ago because the one sewer was established for what, 50 houses, and we go on and on. If we have to pay for that, then we need to do it to get it done. We're going to waste 20 years of, well, let's have a study. Let's have a study. We need a study, but let's make it a short study and to the point, and we can get it done by the first of the year, at least for the roads. And the budgeting, that's simple. Budgeting is simple. No, and I do not want to take over Mr. Berry. I do not want to go back to the old days. I want him to perform, or her, or whoever comes into that position, and if not, they will be looking for a job.
We
It's-
did it before the county administrator. They were still, are they still working?
I support to start immediately on the secondary roads coming up with 25 miles. That's a great idea. What if we got, I guess if we just got some price quotes, what it would cost for an engineering firm or somebody to do a strategic plan for the county and just see how much money it's going to cost?
Good
Just an
point.
estimate.
Good point. For 25 miles of road and Eisenhower, if that's the only money we need now, let's say it's, I'm not going to even mention a price. Do you know what the bid's going to come in at? For one contractor to come in and bid on 25 miles of road and Eisenhower. You know what the bid would be? Thank God. I can keep my employees employed for, well, probably, they wouldn't go over 2 years. They would have crews here moving that dirt and moving those roads to an unbelievable degree. So let's do that and have the finances done. What are we going to need to do that? Because we can always come back with another bond issue, and then we'd say, well, God, it's 2.57 right now, it's going to be 3.1. Well, we don't want to back up to what we borrowed and what we paid, but you got to be ready to go with the project.
Well, that requires property acquisition and design, utility relocation. It's
No, you throw in things. You're not going to give you're not going to give it. We're not going to go after your property. You don't want to give it. We got another road we can do. So you make up your mind. Do you want your road improved, or do you want to say, no, I want to save that tree, and I don't remember what that tree was. It led into down there on 2440, but it was a beautiful tree, and nobody could go around it. They tried to move the road over. I love that old dying tree because I knew it had been there when Chief Tonganoxie was here. So I'd like to move forward with something.
okay. I agree.
But we do have a work session study
I know that, and that's why
scheduled for Thursday.
I brought this
That
up
will-
today.
All this stuff can definitely be discussed during that work session. We can develop a plan and execute.
That's very good. Thank you, Mark.
Anything else under administrative business this time, Mr. Lawfrey?
Just the agenda to kind of discuss that there is a change in format.
Right.
Because we've been talking about.
Right.
The agenda, as far as what we will put forward for approval, will still be similar to what it had been in the past, as as far as scheduling, but these are the agenda that goes in the packet, so we have a little more detail. I think we had discussed that, and then also we've included a consent agenda this week. You can use it or not use it. Obviously, there's an explanation of how that works.
Right.
But this is kind of a proposed format. Just wanted to see how you guys like it, see if it works this week. If it doesn't, we can make changes to it and move forward.
Commissioners have any questions on the consent agenda?
On the consent agenda, are we going to be given what, like the water bill, we pay it every month. I mean, it's got to be paid every month. The electric bill, whatever. Are these going to be listed as part of the consent agenda?
So the intention is that what we'll do is provide in your packet I call them like a check register, but it's what we're paying for the month or any
Because-
given time, and we'll include that in the packet, and then it will be under the consent agenda to approve the bills. So,
Okay.
but you'll
Because
have
it's not,
not this one. It's
this
not
one
under
is
this
not like that. And I was said, well, what's going to be approved? I mean, we're approving a blank consent agenda.
No, the consent agenda says approval of the minutes for October 19, 2017, and approve and sign the LCBs for this consent agenda. That's it. That's all that's on there. That's all you're approving for this consent.
Just the OCBs.
OCBs in the
Yeah.
minutes. Now, when we have the check register ready to go, which possibly be Thursday, it will be attached, and you'll be able to go through and look at all
Okay.
the bills that you're approving.
That's what I'm interested in, making sure
Yep.
that we're approving what we're
Yeah.
approving.
Even though it's a consent agenda, there should always be an attachment to that shows
Okay.
you what it is you're discussing.
Okay.
And if Bob saw something that you didn't like, you could say, I'd like to talk about this.
Okay. Anyone can take something off the
Yeah.
consent agenda.
And I'd like to start it on Thursday, just to give everybody a chance to get a copy of this, what our meeting.
I think that actually went out with the packet and was
And a
on
lot
the
of-
website, but that's fine.
yeah.
That's understandable. It's a new
Okay.
format.
All right. Mr. Van Perry, do you have anything today?
Nothing in addition here.
Okay. All right. Has the commissioners had a chance to look at the minutes?
Can I have?
Have motion to approve.
Second?
Voting? Aye.
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 All right. And I have some OCBs that need signed.
I make a motion that the chairman sign and date the OCBs as stated.
Second?
Voting?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Public Works.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Public Works has two items for your consideration this morning. First item on the agenda is approval to award the bid to Benesh Engineering for construction engineering, inspection, and testing services on the McIntyre Road project. Public Works solicited proposals from 4 of our consultants on our on-call list. Staff reviewed those 4 proposals and selected Benesh for this project.
Commissioners have any questions on that?
Only question I have, weren't we talking about 3-point-some million for the project?
Yes.
I got 4.2 now, so
That's, yeah.
with both things we're going to vote to approve today.
So, would you rather see, I know we can discuss this Thursday, would you rather see design build projects done, or rather see it done like this? The contractor bids, we've had staff, or went out for bid to get design, or would you rather have a design build where a contractor bids on design and building in one lump sum?
I sort of like design and build, but are we saying, I also like chip and seal? See?
I bet there's a lot of people live on gravel road that love chip and seal.
Mm-hmm. So I prefer it to be under one. Every building I've ever built, my builder has designed it, gone to the city and done all the legwork, so I prefer build and design, or design and build within the contractor.
Mhm.
Personal opinion.
Now, there's some downfalls to that, but there's some good things to it too.
I've been here 79 years, and there's been a lot of downfalls to everything.
Hey, yes, sir, there is. Okay. Anything, Commissioner Hall, on this?
As you said, there is some downfalls on design build, and I guess I'd like to see kind of a comparison on design build versus the way we're doing it, to make sure that we're getting the best, the best money for our buck.
Yeah, I agree with that. Let's go to TWA. No, they're no longer here.
Right.
Because corporate screwed up TWA. Wasn't workers. Corporate screwed it up. And what I liked about the FAA, they went to TWA and said, we want an inspector. And that inspector is going to inspect the job. We're not going to go out and hire some guy to be an inspector. Your man's going to inspect. But I'll tell you what, we're going to come behind him occasionally, and we're going to inspect what he's inspected. And we find some errors, then we're going to take that away from you. So they were very critical with their inspectors. It's very important. So there are a lot of problems. We'd have to have somebody to be able to inspect what they're doing, and maybe bridges wouldn't fall down loaded with concrete. I'll mention no city in that. There's a whole lot of problems that can come from anybody doing it. Let's go down where the collapsed. Yeah, there are a lot of problems with it, and that was designed, paid, and engineered, and blah, 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 and we still lost bodies in that. So that's a good point, but we would have to have somebody, maybe we hire somebody. Could they inspect, and they know, we're not going to pay you if you don't inspect and we catch an error. So, but I agree with you.
Well, and I guess the only way, we've got 25 miles, we can probably pick one of them roads out to do a design build to just see how it works. I mean, a large project, most contractors are going to want to spend the money on a design and know they may not get the bid.
That's true.
A smaller job, it wouldn't be as big a deal, I don't think. And we have a contractor in the room here, and I'm sure he would have something to add to that, and maybe he could come to our work session on Thursday.
I would hope so.
I'd appreciate that. So anyways, any other discussion, and we'll entertain a motion on this?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second for discussion.
All right.
And this is where I'm supposed to say, because I voted against it all along. But my vote ain't gonna mean diddly squat. One way or the other. It's insignificant. We're gonna spend 4.2 million at least. Have we got all the people to sign off? There's no arguments over land yet?
All easements have been acquired, yes.
All these, kind of like that. Makes it
Ready to
easy.
go.
Doesn't it make it easy?
That's why I'm ready to go with it.
Yeah. So, and they're putting in their sleeve. That took care of that. We're not putting the extra 2 inches on. That's good. So, I'm ready for a vote. And I'm gonna let it start over there so I can ooh and ah a little bit more over here.
So you have second.
I second it. Yeah,
All right.
whatever motion deserves a second.
That's correct. Voting.
Aye.
Aye.
Ooh. What do you want me to do? You want me to vote for it or against it?
It's your district, Commissioner.
I'll vote for it. Let you have a unanimous one here.
That's right. These projects are economic development. It puts people to work.
Just have to be able to read the language and what it says.
Right.
That's correct.
Sometimes you might have to read it more than once.
Yeah.
That's true.
All right, the second item we have for you this morning is to approval to award the bid to Lineweaver Construction for the construction of McIntyre Road. Bids were opened on September 26th. We had 5 contractors submit bids, and Lineweaver was the low bidder at just under $4 million.
I move to accept the bid.
Second?
Voting?
You don't have any discussion?
No.
No.
Good.
It's a local contractor. It's low
Oh, yeah.
bid.
God, isn't that a great feeling?
I agree
It
the
is.
same way.
I appreciate it
God,
being
I
a
love it.
local contractor.
Almost cried when I read that.
I did too.
Local contractor. Love it. Aye.
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 Thank you.
And when are we gonna start on it? Ooh, that seems to be the story of our life.
Water line. Oh, how much is that gonna cost? God, we're up to 4.2 million, and it was gonna be 3 point something. Now we're gonna have a removal and moving of a water line.
Don't forget the change orders.
Oh, no, there won't be any. This is
No.
this is a local.
Yeah.
There won't be a change.
Well, anyways, I'm glad you guys
Yep.
got the job. Local contractor.
Maybe we start bidding a lot better.
Yeah. Okay. All right, the transfer station, who's going to represent that?
That was taken off the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right, whenever I guess we're ready for the county administrator's contract. Who's Mr. Van Perry's?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, good morning. The board had requested that I review a proposed agreement between the Board of County Commissioners and Mr. Mark Lawfrey for the services of county administrator. I have reviewed the proposed agreement that was submitted to me by Mr. Lawfrey, and I presented that to you. It is in the form of a contract. It is basically a 1-1 contract, as I would describe it. That is, Mr. Lawfrey would serve for a period of 1 year as county administrator under the job description that is also attached and the provisions within the agreement. If the board were to terminate that contract or agreement prior to the expiration, there would be a severance package of 1 year. At the end of the 1 year, the contract goes away, the agreement goes away. I think my concern is more in the area of the job description. I did review the prior job description. I think it underrepresented the amount of administrative time that's actually used. And just remember this, it's 100%. As time goes by, it may be 39% this year, 28% next year as far as the division of duties. But I think what's important is your expectation within that job description as to what you're getting when you hire a county administrator. And I think the operative word in that is administrative. Mr. Lawfrey is not charged with, nor under this agreement would he be authorized to make policy decisions on the part of this board. That's what this board is for. Mr. Lawfrey is not elected, you are. So I think that is a distinct difference that needs to be kept in mind. As this contract is implemented and you go through it, I believe there may be a learning curve with regards to what is administrative and what is policy. I think a non-legal phrase might be administrative is the nuts and bolts of things. Policy is where you want the ship to go. Administrative is how the ship gets from point A to point B. And I think that's as simple as it can be described, and I think that's about all it can be described without going into onerous detail. And I think Mr. Lawfrey's been acting as your administrator for quite some time now, and this might allow the county to finalize his status, your expectation of him, and to get the county moving down the road.
So has he opened up his contract and the current contract he was under, and this supersedes it?
Mr. Lawfrey's current contract, and please step in at time, was for the services of finance director. As things developed, I think he moved from being a finance director to county administrator. This board understood that and approved that earlier this year.
But that's not according to the contract.
Pardon?
I say that's not according to the contract, so
The contract.
we can
provides-
make him whatever we want. We can make him dog catcher. I mean, not to
Commissioner
insult
Dick-
him there, but I'm just making that point, that we can make him anything, but his contract still states that he was a finance director. What I want to know is, has he relinquished that contract?
I think the approval of this contract will then remove the other contract.
Do we need a vote to remove the other contract?
I think you have to, again, you have to approve this contract would then remove the other contract.
Okay.
That could be part of the motion.
Okay.
That's legally.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, a motion might state as follows. Move to approve the contract with the county administrator as presented with the understanding that Mr. Lawfrey also surrenders the contract for finance director previously entered into.
I move that.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Voting.
Nope, discussion.
All right,
Gotta
discussion.
have discussion.
All right.
You know, in the end of 14 months, I want to love Mark, okay?
I hope it doesn't take 14.
I was gonna say, it's only gonna take 12.
Nope. County administrator shall receive 22 days of annual vacation. See how much I read these things?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you getting 22 and the human resource only gets 20?
That is based on tenure.
On what?
Tenure. So when I came on board, they allowed 22 days because of the length of time that I've served in finance and
What
administration.
do the other employees get?
Per contract, it can be varied.
No, other employees. Total.
It
It
again
depends.
depends upon their tenure.
I was getting 2 days a month when I retired,
You
annual
were
leave,
getting
and 1 day a
24.
month sick leave.
You were getting 24 days?
Mm-hmm.
God, you're
Was
lucky
there
I was-
34 years?
Okay, you've answered that question, thank you. Redacting. On this contract, it has your name, address, and base of Kansas. Do you not want that redacted?
I'm okay with my address being in there. Anybody
Very-
can look it up online anytime.
Very good. I'm going to say on today's 23rd,
Yes, sir.
on November the 20th, October the 23rd, 2018, I will swear on the Bible that at that time, if you have done an efficient job, I will vote you a contract. I cannot go with a contract today because in my feelings, you have to have proved, everybody has to do that. You got to prove yourself. Now, am I getting approval by a lot of people? No, I can show you things here that come in and, you know, it's sort of ought to be flushed down the toilet. I'm getting that information. Now, somebody will get on disgrace book and make something out of that, flushing down the toilet. That's the way the system operates today. So I will be willing on the 23rd of October to guarantee you a one-year contract. I'll vote you in a one-year contract, and we can put that into motion, but I think it's a little far-fetched. You have to be able to trust me and to trust some other county commissioner. And at that time, there should be 2 out of 3. But I would like for you to prove yourself, Mark, and if you prove yourself, that's what I'll do.
To answer this lady's question back here that she asked earlier, I'm going to ask it. Vehicle allowance, $5,400. Now, that is not allowance for you to drive back and forth to work. Is that correct?
Now, that allowance allows me to use my personal vehicle versus a county vehicle anywhere in the metropolitan area that I use it.
Right.
So that's what the allowance is for.
So if you don't use that much, you still get that much money.
That's a monthly allowance. So however I use the vehicle is what I use.
And you do attend a lot of meetings other than,
Yes.
And that was probably one of the things at the first page. It said, attending meetings,
Well, I just wanted to make it public so this lady could,
thank you, and other meetings assigned, which is understandable.
so you have a motion. Are you ready for a second?
I think there was a second.
Okay. Are you done with your discussion? Is there any more discussion on this? Ready for a vote?
Yes?
Voting.
No.
Aye.
no.
Now, I move to, can we do a motion for what I said? Legal?
Members of the commission, as far as a motion that would approve this contract on or effective October 23rd, 2018, would be unusual. I'm trying to wrap around what the intent is. If the intent is to have Mr. Lawford serve without a severance provision, then that would be the effect of not entering into this agreement. Mr. Lawford would, I would presume, would still perform all the duties, but would not have the separation clause within the contract, because the separation clause would almost be rendered moot by the time of the entry into October 23rd, very short period of time. So I'm not certain what the purpose might be to an agreement at all of this, other than to just hire Mr. Lawford to perform the duties of county administrator with a term for 1 year subject to a termination at will, is what it would really render it to.
Commissioner Clint, Mr. Lawfrey has a 3-year contract that he gets paid 3 years if he leaves, or if we ask him to leave,
we
he
don't-
gets paid for 3 years.
we don't
This
know
is
that.
this is in the best interest of the
Yeah,
taxpayers.
but we don't know that. We don't know whether he's got 3 years. You're telling me there's no way, when you say out of the ordinary, when you say unusual? Am I not out of the ordinary or unusual?
Well, it's just to approve a contract with that time or period of time for effectiveness is unusual. If the intent is to basically have Mr. Lawfrey serve on a probation or interim basis, then I think that would be the most direct means to do so.
Okay.
Offer him the position of county administrator with a term to the October 23rd. Upon review, a contract for 1 year could be considered.
See, I don't like the word considered in there. I want him to hear my word out of my mouth that I don't change.
Rather than considered entered into. In other words, approve this, but it does not become effective until October 23rd, and the term would then continue into 2019.
2019, and well, what do you want?
Well, Mr. Lawfrey's been here for 10 months. I mean, he's
So,
already,
one of his years is almost up
yeah.
out of the 3 years.
Understand
And
that.
he's performed as financial director, he's performed as a county administrator,
I understand that.
and I would like to see him have less years on his contract.
How about us doing it, we renew his contract without the, what do you call that? Fringes, the payout. Payout.
The
Oh.
termination clause.
Yes, without the determination clause. And he takes my word, it's much better than gold, that on October the 23rd, 2017, because I hate to see him roll because I didn't get what I wanted. So I hate to see him roll because this would be the first county administrator we've ever hired, and we're allowing him to run the county, to administrate the county.
That's my goal.
I mean, come on, be inventive. Let's get in this.
So you're asking to approve this contract without a severance agreement?
Yes.
But with a provision that if it's not severed by October 23rd, the agreement would carry over for another year with a termination agreement.
With the what?
With a termination provision.
Yes.
In other words, 1 year, well, the period of time between October 23rd of 2018 and now, Mr. Lawfrey would serve as county administrator, basically in an at-will position. If Mr. Lawfrey were to adequately, to your satisfaction, perform those duties on October 23rd, this board would approve entering into an agreement with Mr. Lawfrey for an additional year of services as county administrator with a 1 year separation clause.
But he gets the pay and everything else right now with this one.
All other provisions would remain the same.
Sounds like a good motion. Now, we have to get rid of the, no, we already got rid of the other one. This is another motion, just what Dave said. I hope you got it down.
You have to rescind your motion.
No, the
We
first
voted.
motion failed.
We voted.
So you have, you
2
do
to
have to have
1.
a motion.
Yeah,
So-
not to.
You're right.
Yeah,
Right.
but Dave just came up with my other motion.
And obviously,
You're gonna amend
Let's
my motion.
go over the motion again, so we all know what we're,
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, per Commissioner Clint's suggestions, the motion for consideration might be to offer the contract, or excuse me, agreement to Mr. Lawfrey for him to serve as county administrator for the county from this date until October 23rd of 2018, with the provision that upon satisfactory performance of that contract agreement determined by the board on October 23rd, a subsequent term of 1 year would be entered into with Mr. Lawfrey that year to contain termination provision for 1 year severance package. Now, Commissioners, due to that pesky 13th Amendment, Mr. Lawfrey would have to agree with those terms as well before there could be any contract.
That's true. So that's the motion. The new motion.
Okay. Well, I'll second it. Voting?
Aye in favor.
Aye.
I'm going to go with what Mr. Berry said back here, that the taxpayers, not once, but 3 times, voted that they did not want a county administrator, and I'll vote nay.
Was it twice? Wasn't
3 times.
it? Was it 3 times? I thought it was only twice. Back in the early 90s. You were here, Commissioner.
I've always been thinking it was twice, but somebody brought up thrice, and I said,
Were you a commissioner when it was voted on once?
no.
You weren't in office?
No, he's a little older than that.
Well, he was here in the 90s. wasn't
To
he?
96.
Yeah.
Left in 96,
I
January.
thought it was voted on in 94 or something like that. That sounded-
Who knows? It was,
Well, if you were here, I figured you would.
well, no, that's unimportant. I'm trying to remember.
Okay. I remember coming up twice. I don't remember.
I'll call for the vote.
Huh?
Do we vote?
We
just-
already voted.
Okay.
And it was 2-1.
So now we need to, and you don't have to make that, I don't think he needs to make that decision now, does he? Unless he's got an answer.
Or counter.
Well, I think it's a significant change to what was
Well, yeah.
proposed, so I need to think about it.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I guess you've authorized it, it'll be signed, it'll just be up to me to sign, otherwise I
Yeah.
continue to work.
Very good.
Under a 3-year contract, he is.
Very good.
Could I address one?
Sure.
Just something I'm sitting here listening to. You're talking about
Offering him a contract that runs with what he has now, but you want to go forward and give him a new contract, start it now, and guarantee him next year that you'll reissue that same contract, extend it for another year. And I thought that was what we didn't like. We don't like making contracts up that new county commissioners got to abide by. I've heard that said in this room. We didn't like that. We make up a contract, but the way you guys rotate out of jobs because of the elections, you're always going to have somebody. If you've got a contract for over 2 years, you're always going to have a new county commissioner that's got to live with something somebody else signed on for. That's just because of the way you guys rotate
Yeah.
out every couple of years.
October the 23rd, 2018. All 3 of us will be here. Now, I don't know that.
But you'll be leaving.
I'll be
Mr.
leaving.
Holland will be leaving.
Well, no,
Or-
I say that. You
Could
know.
be, could be. I retract that. You're not leaving, but you could be.
Yeah.
I don't know what his plans are, and I'm not sure if they'll reelect you. But it's a possibility that they don't, and so there you're going to hang
I would
Mr.
like to
Smith
file just
on
to
a
see
contract
if they
for a
would
man that nobody's here to support him on. It's the,
Well, I like a 1-year contract a whole lot better than I like a 5-year one.
I don't like
that
them
I'm
at all.
Saddled with.
I don't like them at all, because I think this way, if you're a good employee, we're going to keep you.
Absolutely.
If you're
And that's
not,
the
we
only
wanna get rid of you.
contract I support is the county administrator.
I know a lot of
He
people-
runs the day-to-day operation.
a lot of people in here.
He's the layer between the department heads and the employees from the commission.
I get that. My whole thing is, you offer a man an employment package. You don't have to give him a contract. I don't like the word contract. We're not laying out bids for a job. We're going to hire you, we're going to offer you this package. You either take it or you don't. And if you don't take it, we're going to interview some more people who might.
Yeah.
I don't like the contract is a part, I think the county got into that, and it doesn't bind anybody but you guys.
No, it binds the taxpayer.
Well, the taxpayers, but they put you guys there.
Yeah,
But
well-
as the employee can walk away and say, I got a better offer down the street. It doesn't bind them to nothing,
Right.
Yep.
other than to say they're going to do what you hired them to do. Well, that's a regular employee. They don't need a contract. You offered them a job, and they did it. And if they don't do it, they'll be looking for a new job. Because we're going to hire somebody that will do that job for this many dollars. And if we got to give them a vehicle, I would say, give them y'all's vehicle. I'd rather pay 3 of you guys mileage and give him a permanent vehicle if that's what we're going to do. Because you 3 can't ride in that same vehicle together. 2 of you can.
2 of us can.
So one of you, I don't know how you guys decide, well, we all 3 got to go to this here meeting, but, or 3 separate meetings, but I get the car today, you don't.
Well, Doug and I go to the same MARC meeting because we have 2 votes.
Yeah.
We go separately.
Yep.
That's, to me, that's
And
foolish.
Commissioner Hollins, on his way by from his, he takes the car. I drive my own vehicle.
Right.
See, I think that's foolish. So you just ought to be paying you guys mileage, because I'm going to assume that we know how many miles it is from
That's
point A to
correct.
point
That's
B.
correct.
I'm not the
All I
smartest.
have to do is take my
Just-
county credit card and fill it back up with gas.
Write down the mileage log. He
Right.
still has to write down a mileage log also.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
That was my 2 cents.
It is.
I'm just sitting out here listening to this, and I'm thinking, we're talking about contracts, and if I was him, I wouldn't sign a contract you just sprung upon me with the changes.
no, I wouldn't either.
I'd say, hey, I got to think about this and see what's in my best interest. My thing is, let's get away from contracts altogether.
Yeah.
It just,
He
it's
knows
something to
what's
think
in it.
about.
He knows what is in his best interest.
Because I believe what you're trying to do is the same thing I like to do. When I go out here and shake a man's hand, his word is worth more than any piece of paper out there.
Right?
Mine is too. That's what I got to live with.
Yep.
You got to look yourself in the mirror every morning when you shave. But I just think contracts are a bad thing. If we got them, we got to ride them out till they're gone. When they're gone, dig a hole and bury that sucker and don't dig him up again. Hire good employees and keep them. You don't have to have a contract to do that.
Very good.
All right, thank you. Anything else for us at this time?
I've got some odd-ended questions.
All right.
This thing from Roger Mars.
Oh, we got a bill here, I'm sorry. Yeah, we got a, you guys had a chance to look at that?
No, I did not.
Did you get it?
Yes, I got a chance.
Okay.
And
I got it. I've got that in my
Okay.
office, but I
Yeah.
didn't have a
You
chance
want a
before I come
chance
in
to
here.
look at it?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we'll bring it up Thursday.
you want to bring it up Thursday?
Well, Commissioner Holland said he hadn't had a chance to look at the bill.
Well, I'm going to vote for it. How are you going to vote?
Well, I've looked at it.
Okay. Well, let's see if it dies, then we can discuss it Thursday. I don't want to come back. I'll move
All
that we
right,
approve.
well, I looked at it and.
I move we approve the bill.
Okay, got a motion on the floor, I'll second it. Any discussion?
Aye.
Voting, aye?
Thank you.
Nay.
Very good. Okay. As I mentioned the other day, Bob, when I come, there's nobody going to change my opinion.
Well, I looked at the bill, and I mean, it's,
And so I would
So
love,
you want me to approve something that I have not
No.
had time to
Just abstain
read?
from
I read
voting.
the cover sheet,
Yeah, just-
and I went over it with Roger Mars.
Just
He come
abstain
in
from
just a
voting. That's
little
all you
bit
gotta
before
do.
the meeting started.
Yeah,
How
abstain.
do I have time to read it before and get into the meeting?
yeah, abstain from voting. If the vote is already known, then the vote is known.
Yeah, I know
You're
you
gonna pay
two
the
are
bill.
gonna vote for it.
You have voted against every other bill from this gentleman.
Yes, I don't,
we owe it, I mean,
So,
I have no doubt that the
it's
services.
now up to $44,000 that we've paid him.
yeah.
I'm not getting
Okay,
$40,000.
Let's don't go there. Let's let Clint finish and everybody can adjourn, okay? We've wasted a lot of money. And that's what I'm trying to come up with the project for the 20 to 25 miles of roads and Eisenhower, and get a bonding done right after the bid comes in. No, not bonding, because we'll have the money to pay, and then we're gonna have to bond somewhere to pay the money back to the county. So that,
We can't take a bid unless we've got the money on hand. That'd be a cash basis.
I know that,
Yeah,
but
so, but-
the money will be on hand, okay? To start the little preliminary things that we like to do. You gotta
Well, like I
study.
said, we still got room
Yeah,
to
we got
bond.
room.
We got
Okay.
some room.
Mr. Rickard, that's Northeast Mental Health.
Yeah.
His last statement, is what I got, it said, excuse me, Mike, I would also invite you to reach out to me at any time that you have questions about services at the Guidance Center or the current status of our multifaceted work. My direct line is blah, blah, blah. Feel free to call anytime. Now, that's what the transportation duplication was. It wasn't public works vehicles or this or that. It was the Council on Aging has vehicles, and Northeast Guidance, or they call it the Guidance Center, they have vehicles. They have busing departments where they make arrangements, and that's what that was about. So I'd like somebody within the next 14 months to get together and say, you know, well, there might be something we can do. That's not an assumption, because we know what assumptions do. There might be something we can do. I would like for somebody to sit down and go through the Genesis Health Club.
I've tried that for years. I've gone through it.
Yeah, it needs to be looked at, because we're paying, I was told, $15,000. And I noticed when Bob Weber comes in, he's pretty thin, and his whole family goes. I go play basketball every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I'm not thin. I can't figure that out. So somebody needs to go over this. I don't know what each of these individuals pay, because it isn't free to each individual, I mean, partially paid for by the individual. So I would like to see.
$24
It's
a month.
24? Thank you. So let's go over this. What does the city charge for the riverfront? Well, it doesn't have the equipment, doesn't have the atmosphere. Well, what does the city, well, for.
Actually, Louis, we pay for both.
Pay for both?
But the savings on our wellness program on health insurance kind of offsets it, doesn't it?
And I don't think it has anything to do with it, does it?
Well, that's the intent, I mean, to encourage healthy employees to help us.
Actually, Louis, I looked into this maybe a couple budgets ago, and I made the motion to take Genesis off this, because there were so few people that actually used Genesis.
Yeah.
We used to get I would get a report every month on how many
108.
people used it and how many people used it in the year, and it was nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, it was nothing.
I use it in the winter months.
Yeah.
I don't use it in the summer months.
See,
So, you know,
I use it.
I would
and,
just like for somebody to research that.
I'll research it again, I don't mind.
Well, I don't want to put pressure on you, because, you know, somebody
Yeah.
else is going to disagree. Well, Bob's got, you know, I'm pro and con.
Well, let somebody else do it.
Yeah,
I've done it.
that's what.
I don't know, several
that's what the
years I've done
administrator's
it,
for.
because I thought it was a waste of money, county money.
I thought it was by having, providing that it was a savings on our health insurance or.
No,
or
we
workman's
checked-
comp, was it work comp? I don't.
No, it wasn't the health insurance, because I checked into
Okay.
that too, and I thought that would be a good thing.
It had to be something
It
Well, I
was,
think
it was,
straightforward.
I was thinking we would look, that you were looking at it, because it should offer people the opportunity to improve their lives.
and, but there's
Does that
just
take
not.
place? Well,
We actually have people that are members and pay the $24 a month and have been out there twice in a year. Now, but the county pays $15,000
yeah.
for them to go out there, and they don't go out there. So who's making the money? Genesis.
And there's also other health clubs in Baser, Tongi,
Yep.
that we do and so forth.
Well-
And we have employees that live in them communities, so it is a convenience thing too for some employees.
Right. But if they don't go, it's not convenient.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's not
Yeah.
convenient for people that live in Tonganoxie or
Well,
Baser.
There used to be a Genesis in Tonganoxie, might not.
No, it wasn't a Genesis, was it? It's not called Genesis, is it? It's just a health club.
Oh, just a health
Yeah,
club.
it's not the chain.
I know the last, I wasn't through.
Give the people that do use those facilities, give them a reimbursement.
That's what I was, that was my proposal.
Let them bring in a canceled check or a debit card swipe, whatever, the receipt for it, and then a month, and tell them you'll give them so much percent reimbursement for it.
But I do like to see, and there was in this, a participation of each person that went. And see, you don't get that. Here's your $40 and I'm going to improve my life, because 40 times 4, when 400 employees, you give them all $40, probably wouldn't come out in our favor, in anybody's favor. This employee policy, I have a lot of personal things on here that I'd like to talk to you in private, if that's all right.
Sure, absolutely.
Because, said give it to you or Mr. Van Peres.
Yep.
So, that's all I have.
Okay. Anything else for us? Motion to adjourn?
So, go ahead, second, there you go.
Voting. Aye.